Welcome to our first set of boards looking at renewable energy. We've got a solar panel and we've got a little mini wind turbine powered by an electric motor. Let's look at the solar panel first. These days they're everywhere, and a big panel can generate quite a lot of power. But how much we're getting from this one we can see by this very clever meter in the top right hand corner. The first two lines are giving us the things that we've looked at before: the voltage, the amount of electrical pressure, and the number of amps, the flow, the current. And here from this panel we're getting 4.4 volts, and we're getting a flow of either 0.019 amps or 19 milliamps. Now that's tiny, but it's a small panel. It's not in natural sunlight, so it isn't going to give us a lot, but it's just a demonstration. The reason why this meter at the bottom is so clever is because it's multiplying these two numbers together to give us something called the watts, which is the power. That's the thing we're really interested in, the amount of power we're getting from that panel. And this is showing that at the moment from there we're getting 0.082 watts or 82 milliwatts. Now we can change these values by changing the load that we're giving the panel. This is what we call a dummy load, where we're changing the power we're getting from the panel into heat. Very, very little, because we've got very little power. But if we were getting more, then these would actually start to warm up. Now we can see the circuit, and at the moment I've got all three of these in the circuit. So the amount of resistance as we've got is quite high. And when we've got a high resistance, it keeps the voltage up at the expense of the flow, the current. So we've got 4.3 volts and 19 milliamps. And if I switch these two out of the circuit, watch what happens. We've increased the flow. The flow's gone up to 23 milliamps. But look at the voltage, it's dropped right down to just 2 volts, really because we're trying to pull too much from the panel. So by playing with these switches, we can make sure that the value here at the bottom, which is the really important one, is the highest. And control units on solar panels are doing this the whole time. They're constantly trying to juggle the load to get the best out of the solar panel. Now we've got a wind turbine here, and I'm going to switch it on in a moment, but we're going to do the same with this. We're going to try and balance the load with what we're getting from the motor that we've got here. Now if you remember from the electromagnetism section, when we have a motor and we spin it, we get power from it. It generates electricity. So here we go. I'm going to switch that across, and we can see that we've got 2.3 volts and 26 milliamps. And more importantly, about 60 milliwatts. If I flick those two over, there's the voltage going up, the current drops, and in fact the amount of power we're getting is very similar. It's gone up to a little bit. I'll just try with one, and look at that, that's gone up a little bit to get 66, 70 milliwatts. So in this example, having this resistor switched in but this resistor switched out is giving us the maximum power from the wind turbine. Now, big wind turbines on top of hills can generate a few million watts of power. So that's a little bit more impressive than what we've got here as a demonstration.